Board 2.
This meeting is being recorded.
As by the robot sound, this meeting is being recorded. And we will then walk through what's on the agenda. So I am Lenny Singletary. Thanks to the members of Community Board 2. I serve as the chair of Community Board 2. Our first vice chair is Mr. Leonard Jordan. Our second vice chair is Ms. Barbara Zoller-Ringer. And as I mentioned earlier, Jessica Thurston serves as our secretary. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda for this evening? Perfect. Are there any edits or modifications to the agenda? Hearing or seeing none, please indicate by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? We've adopted this evening's agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from our April meeting? Are there any noted modifications, edits, or corrections? Should you have any going forward, please submit them to the board office and we'll make the proper corrections. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from April 23rd. Mr. Jordan, second, Mr. Smith. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the chairperson's report. Listen, I want to start off by saying welcome to our new board members. We have a slew of new board members, and I had a wonderful opportunity to engage with them last evening to welcome them to the community board, learn a little bit about them, and give a chance for them to understand that unlike different organizations, right? And I'm not saying this in a negative content or a positive context, this is just a fact. When you come on a community board, you get full rights, privileges, and voice day one. And so I want to encourage everyone who is now a new member of Community Board 2 is use your voice. Don't feel like you need permission. Engage in a way that meets your conscience and your thinking. And the one thing that I'm proud to say about Community Board 2 is even when there are issues that require us to be passionate, what's top of mind is respect. And we will continue to operate in such manner. It's one of the reasons that makes me proud that you all have elected me to serve as chair, because we continue to respect each other no matter how passionate the issue. And I'm confident from what I've engaged, from the individuals I engaged with last night, that they will conduct themselves in a manner that makes the chemistry right for Community Board 2 to continue to be successful and be the best community board in the city of New York. And so I'm not going to go through the process of asking each of them to introduce themselves. They've already done so. But when they get assigned to committees, you'll get to meet them and you'll get a chance to see what I'm echoing about the success of these individuals who are now serving as community board members. So welcome again. Thank you for participating tonight to all of our board members. The next item I want to bring up for discussion is we are in the middle, Tay and I are in the middle of making committee assignments. So now that we have a list and we have a robust roster of board members, so in the next few weeks, Tay and I will make assignments. I would ask that even for new board members and current board members, please understand that my number one goal is to make sure we have balance. I want to make sure that we don't have members overweighted on one committee and then other committees that are falling short to meet the necessary requirements. We should have a balance. And so that's going to be my first priority. For those of you who have desires to be on other committees, you are not restricted on where you can participate. If your committee is your primary committee, that's where you're expected to vote and be perhaps most active. If there's a committee or a topic or an agenda item that you want to participate in with a secondary committee, you're more than happy to do so. There are no limitations. However, your ability to vote is what is missed between the primary committee and the secondary committee. Your primary committee is where you vote. And so I don't want anyone to feel like you can't still be an active board member. But, you know, historically, and what continues to be the reality is that the more engaging conversations, the situations where we really hear the facts and we pull out the real detail, is done at the committee. There's no way possible we could have that level of engagement at the general body. And so it's important that everyone continue to operate in such manner. I'm sorry, I need to put you on pause 1 second. I apologize. It's the hazards of being at work. So I want everyone to appreciate that each respective chair and co-chair, when we make assignments, that you please welcome each of the new members and appreciate and value the existing members. That's the only way we're going to be successful. Additionally, for certain chair and co-chairs, I may ask of you to take on a different role. Some committees may need and will need a vice chair. So we're looking to do that. I think we have some individuals teed up that we think will be successful in those roles, and so more to come there. But I want everybody to understand that before we go on, which traditionally our summer recess, which is the months of July and August, we will have a full roster in place with chair, co-chair, and a balance of full participation and membership. And so if there's any questions, let me pause now to see if any Community Board 2 members have any questions on the comments I just made. Perfect, fantastic. And with that, let me just take a moment to say thank you to all of the members of the Executive Committee, both chair and co-chairs, for the fantastic and wonderful jobs that you're doing. The issues that come before Community Board 2 are not getting any easier. Some of them are becoming very complicated. Some of them requiring us to take a stance that may have been different than what we've done in the past. And there's no indication that the challenges that face the city of New York are going to at some point face the respective community boards throughout the city, and clearly not a robust community like CB2. So I thank you all for the effort and the time you put in, and your effort is not taken for granted by me nor anyone else in the community. So thank you again for that. So with that, let me move on, and I'm going to ask if we have any elected officials or dignitaries who are representing those elected officials who are able to speak this evening. Taya, I'm going to defer to you to help us get through this process, as I need to go run and take care of an issue real quick. I'll be back in 1 second. But Taya, if you walk us through the the elected officials and any dignitaries that are here, I'd appreciate it. And for those who are not aware, Taya Muller is our district manager.
My pleasure, Chair Singletary. Hi, everybody. The first person I see, and just be patient with me, I see Council Member Lincoln Restler.
Thank you so much, Taya. I won't be hurt that Lenny ran away as soon as it was my time to speak. But it's good to be with everyone at CB2. I want to take a moment to just thank and congratulate in particular the handful of folks that we had an opportunity to reappoint and appoint to the board. I'll just shout them out briefly, but really want to thank each and every one of you on CB2 for your commitment. As a former CB2 member, I am consistently impressed by the quality of work on this board, the commitment to community. You all are volunteers, but you really care. And when I read the statement of needs each year of all of the community boards across our council district, the work that CB2 produces is just at a level that is unparalleled. And so I want to congratulate Sid Meyer on his reappointment, who co-chairs our transportation committee and does a great job and never hesitates to tell me when I'm doing something wrong, which I always appreciate. And Brian Howald, who's also been a terrific advocate on transportation issues. Appreciate both of you continuing to serve, and we're thrilled to reappoint you. We're also appointing 3 new folks to the board. Deborah Hallen, who heroically has led the Friends of the Brooklyn Heights branch, public library group for many years, and is a stalwart neighborhood activist and somebody who I really respect and look up to. So we're thrilled to have her on CB2 from Brooklyn Heights. Sheetal Shabawale, who I've known for many, many years, has done an amazing job with the State Street Block Association that has activated in the last few years. She's been a big part of that over by Nevins and Third. and toward 4th. And so she's a great community activist we're thrilled to have on there. And Annie Colarusso, somebody who I used to work with at City Hall, is newer to the neighborhood and brings a wealth of city government experience and expertise. And we're fortunate to have her as well. So I think folks who are really going to add good value and perspective and diversity to our board. Really want to thank and congratulate each and every one of you. I will tell you, we got phenomenal CB2 applications this year. I wish I could have appointed 15 people. I went back and forth with Daniel and the borough president's team about if there were more good folks that we could sneak on there somehow, but hopefully folks will reapply and we'll be able to add them next year. Just a few quick updates from me and my team. One is around Atlantic Avenue. We suffered a horrible tragedy. A young 31-year-old woman walking just steps out from the door of her home was killed a few Sundays ago. It was yet another fatality on Atlantic. It's one of the most dangerous corridors in Brooklyn. As in the wake of that tragedy, myself, Senator Gounardes, Borough President Reynoso, Assemblymember Simon, Councilmember Hanif, and others, and every civic group in the area organized a rally and a walk to commemorate the lives that have been impacted by traffic violence on Atlantic. And in the pouring rain, nearly 100 people came out and walked with us from Furman to 4th to demand that DOT finally make Atlantic safe. We're pushing for mid-block crossings. We're pushing for bulb outs and traffic calming at intersections. We're pushing for raised crosswalks and other interventions to finally make Atlantic safe. We've been talking to DOT leadership. We're pushing them to present some ideas and proposals to us soon. We will certainly keep CB2 and CB6 posted on both sides of Atlantic. And, we'll make sure that we, seize this moment to finally make this stretch safer. Wanted to just share some updates on the BQE. Myself and Senator Gounardes and Assemblymember Simon and Congressman Goldman and Congressmember Velasquez, we meet every other week together on BQE items, and we meet each month with Deputy Mayor Joshi, who oversees the project for the mayor. And I wanted to let the community board know that they've advised us that they plan to move forward with ULURP on the BQE project next year in 2024. So that's going to be coming down the pike for all of us in the not very distant future. That will be an opportunity for us to formally weigh in and give feedback and recommend approval or disapproval and for the project. Similarly, they're also moving forward with parkland alienation next calendar year is their goal, where Assemblymember Simon and Senator Gounardes will have a big say on the project as well. They are planning to start the EIS process in August. That's their goal. We'll see. They've been delayed on just about everything that they've done relating to the BQE, as many neighbors in Brooklyn Heights and I know across CB2 will remember. They were supposed to be doing work this summer to repair spans 4 and 34 at Clark Street and at Grace Court. That work was supposed to start 2 months ago. They were going to come back to us for more community engagement for the nighttime and the weekend closures that were pending this summer, but we've heard crickets. And despite me asking every week on, like clockwork. So we'll see if DOT is able to get their act together on this, but things are gonna escalate quickly toward the approvals they need at the city and state level from all of us next year. We are doing a real big push around all things trees in District 33. We had an awesome tree care event in Brooklyn Heights with 30-something volunteers. We were in the North Heights taking care of tree beds last week. One of the new things that we're doing in our office is that we've got a new website launched where we're encouraging every neighbor to think about taking care of the tree on their block. And basically you sign up on the website and you take responsibility for watering and keeping the tree bed clean and getting some processed compost out onto that tree bed. It's a great way for each of us to share the load and share the responsibility of keeping our trees healthy. Our trees do so much around improving our air quality, around mitigating the worst impacts of the urban heat island effect, around helping manage and mitigate stormwater issues when those big floods hit, when the big rains hit. So it couldn't be more important in really helping prevent the worst impacts of climate change in our neighborhoods. So really want to encourage everyone to take responsibility for the tree on their block. I know there's some Concord Village residents in here. Shari from Concord Village has taken responsibility for all 34 trees around Concord Village. She is the standard and hope that others will step up and help us on this one as well. Open Streets launched recently on Montague. It was an awesome weekend on Saturday. If you were out there, Canon John from St. Anne's Church was having a dance party for his 60th, and it was awesome. And there's a great summer and fall of events planned on Montague. Hoyt is back too. Washington Street is back. So we're really excited about the open streets across our district and the expanded public space. There's some issues on Washington though with the infrastructure project, the Hudson project around expanding the sewer infrastructure in Dumbo. So there's some modified times there. We have a couple upcoming events that I just wanted to share, and then I promise to shut up unless there are any questions. On Friday morning, we're doing a council member on your corner. So if you have any questions for me or have any issues you want to bring to our attention, we're going to be at the new Brooklyn Roasting Company at 1 Clinton Street next to the new Brooklyn Heights Library branch from 8 to 9:30 in the morning. I'll be hanging out there with Arvin from my team. So we're here to help. If there's anything that we can do to be of assistance, or anything you want to yell at us about, we're here for that too. But you know, we like it when people are nicer. And then the following weekend on Saturday, May 20th, we're going to be at the Borough Hall Green Market for Shred Fest, as well as a Touch a Truck event. My understanding is that the kiddos really love these Touch a Truck events where you get to climb into big sanitation trucks and have fun. And if you have any personal documents that you've been waiting to shred, this is your moment to do it. We'll be hanging out there as well. So if you have any issues in the neighborhood that we can help with, just come by and say hello. And just want to congratulate everybody for their service to CB2 and express my gratitude for all the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Restler. And next I see B.Schmid from Congressman Goldman's office. Oh, did we miss Betsy?
All right.
Oh, there she
Yes.
is.
Sorry. Just got home. Just got everything pulled up. But here we go. Okay. So Congressman Goldman joined Representative Maxwell Frost to call for the creation of the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. The Office of Gun Violence Prevention would permanently make ending the epidemic of gun violence a national priority by creating a federal Office of Gun Violence Prevention within the Department of Justice to work on federal efforts to protect Americans. There's a whole lot more about that. You can read that in our board update there, which we just posted. But there is a lot to do with that. Representative Goldman has also joined Representative Ocasio-Cortez in co-sponsoring the Green New Deal to advance a bold agenda to fight existential threat to climate change. The Green New Deal would address climate injustice, economic inequality, greenhouse gas emissions, and create millions of good-paying union jobs. Let's see, what else have we been up to? Representative Goldman is also working to get funding for the MTA zero emission electric bus program. I think we all know about that, but we all know the MTA could always use some more money to help implement their plans. So we're going to try and get that. Representative Goldman has also been working with Representative Waters and Presley and leading a group of Congress members to call for funding that would provide crucial rental assistance to help ensure affordable housing for low-income households. It's kind of with the end of the ERAP program, with the federal money for that, renters continue to face barriers to housing stability. So it would work to address that. Two other issues we know that we've seen a lot of casework on, which is my area. So if you ever have a casework issue, you'll probably chat with me. If you call our office, is Representative Goldman sent a letter to the Postal Service Postmaster General DeJoy, urging him to address the rise in mail theft, which we've been getting a lot of complaints about. And what I want to point out, it's also in our note, is that if you experience mail theft, you should report the incident by you can go to your local NYPD precinct, call 911, or there's also a way to file a report with the Postal Inspection Service. And how you do that online or by phone, again, check the board report. It's listed out there. We also have had a huge influx of people who have applied for their passports and they haven't gotten them back yet before their upcoming trip. If you find yourself in that situation and you are 2 weeks out from a trip and you have applied for a passport, that is the time to call us and we will work really hard to get that expedited and mailed to you in time for your trip or get you an in-person appointment at the New York office. If you're thinking about traveling later this year and you're not sure, go look at your passport now. The time to reapply for your passport is before you need it. If you find that you haven't reapplied in time, we can work to assist you, but because of the backlog with people who have applied, that's no longer a super easy process. That used to be like no big deal, people would do it all the time. And while we can get some appointments that way for people, in general, there's just not nearly as many because they're trying to get people who have applied, but they haven't gotten them back to them. So those are two things. If you have issues, contact us through our website, give us a call. Both our Brooklyn and Manhattan numbers are working. We just had an event last week to let other electeds come see our office for the first time. Dan hosted constituents in both offices last week to talk about issues they're experiencing. So we're getting up and running. But yeah, check out our board report. Give us a call if you're having any issues with federal government. So I think that's all for me tonight.
Thank you so much, Betsy. And Councilmember Restler, thank you so much for staying. I realized I forgot to invite board member questions for you, so I'm going to circle back to you. But first, does anybody have any questions for Betsy Schmidt for Representative Goldman's office? J.Pierre, do you have a question for Betsy?
The bagels if you missed the bagels at the congressman's office, they were really good. So
Janae,
Sorry,
Pierre,
no question. No question. I'm from Councilmember Hudson's office.
Oh, welcome. 1 second. Any questions for Betsy Schmidt? Otherwise, I know we have a question for Councilmember Restler. That was Emily Anadu.
I think actually realizing that Jumaane is on from Councilmember Hudson's office, my question might be better directed to her because I'm not sure if LIU and Brooklyn Hospital fall in her district or Councilmember Hudson's district or Restler's district. Apologies.
No problem.
all Crystal.
Yes,
Okay,
that is our district.
I will wait for Jumaane. Thank you so much, Councilmember.
On that note, let's have J.Pierre from Councilmember Crystal Hudson's office, please.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few updates. So for our next planning together for our future workshop on land use in District 35 is happening on Saturday, May 13th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Ronald McNair Park at the Washington and Eastern Parkway entrance. And in case of rain, it will happen at St. Francis de Sales School of the Deaf. Some background. Earlier this year, we partnered with Hester Street to develop a first of its kind project to make sure local priorities are integrated in the land use process in District 35 from start to finish. So far, we've held community meetings like the one we're hosting this Saturday to create a survey for all district residents to complete, executed a day of action, and released an extensive snapshot of our community and its needs. However, for this to be successful, we need your participation. You can RSVP by calling our office at 718-260-9191 or use a link that we have. I will drop both in the chat. We have a save the date. We will be hosting our second annual Mother's Day celebration and luncheon on Friday, May 19th at the Brooklyn Academy of Music's Fisher Building. We're excited to be organizing this special event again, celebrating our community's mothers on this special occasion. The event will feature a catered lunch, live music, and raffles with prizes from local businesses. You can RSVP by calling our office as well, and I will also send the link for that in our chat. Join Crystal for this month's Coffee with Crystal at R&D Foods in Prospect Heights, address 602 Vanderbilt Avenue, on Saturday, May 20th at 9 a.m. Continuing this year's special guest series, we'll be joined by Wes Jackson, president of Brick Arts Media. We're humbled to welcome Wes to this month's event to speak about the vital role in cultural institutions play in nurturing our communities and to spread the word about Brick's Celebrate Brooklyn series set to begin in June. The event will begin promptly at 9 a.m. I will also include the link for that. Earlier this week, we held our third community planning session at the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph, and it was wonderful to see our neighbors continue to participate in this important process. Now we look forward to our final set of working group meetings set to begin on Monday, May 22nd. All of the working groups will take place at the Fort Greene Council's Grace Aggard Older Adult Center at 966 Fulton Street and run from 6:30 to 9 p.m. All members of the public are encouraged to participate to inform the development of recommendations and strategies that will help us ensure AIM-UP is successful. We are also having our Mother's Day event. Oh, sorry, I actually already mentioned that one. Those are all of the updates we have for our office. Thank you.
Pierre, are you able to take a few questions?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Emily.
Questions?
Hi, I feel like there's like a lot of buildup now for my question. Thank you so much for the report, Jumaane. So this yesterday, I noticed that a press release had been issued from the mayor's office about the EDS and MEDS planning. And
Sorry, do you mind repeating the question?
yeah, sorry. So I was just saying that, yes, I noticed that a press release was issued this week from the mayor's office about the EDS and MEDS planning framework. And I was surprised to see that, given that a lot of work was done to collect over 2,000 signatures. The land use meeting, which, is always very exciting, but I know, had over 100 attendees because people were so passionate about that issue. And it seems, to my understanding, it looks like that regardless of what the community wanted or the input that the community wanted to give, that the mayor's office and city planning have just gone ahead and done what they want to do anyway. And despite assurances that that framework would not be issued, it has been. So do you have any sense of what next steps are, what can be done, how this happens? And apologies, I know that you might have been caught off guard as well, so not meaning to put you on the spot, but wanted to understand, how it feels like a lot of constituents are just ignored.
So we're unsure of next steps, but I will share with the council member. And if you'd like, I can give my email and I can connect you both and we can follow up.
Okay, I'm in touch with your office generally, so I'll help follow. Thank you. It looks like Rosamond from Fort Greene Park Conservancy is mentioned in the comments, but yeah, like my organization was, helped drive a lot of those 2,000 signatures. We care very deeply about this issue, and it seems a shame that despite all of the work, all of the community input, that something else was done. But so I look forward to seeing the response and supporting that in any way that we can. Thank you very much, Jumaane.
Absolutely. And thank you for following up. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Are there any more questions for Councilmember Hudson's office? If not, we will move on to, I see C.Olsen from State Senator Andrew Gounardes' office.
Hi there. Thank you, Taya. First of all, yes, congratulations to all the new community board members. As I've mentioned in the past, our office is happy to support you and the community board, in any of your endeavors. Please feel free to reach out. So a couple of things. First, obviously most relevant to Community District 2 would be, as Councilmember Restler mentioned, our Atlantic Avenue walkthrough that we did, kind of commemorating the many lives lost, on that stretch of road, including most recently, Katie Harris, who died, tragically on April 16th. So we, along with Councilmember Restler, Assemblymember Simon, Councilmember Hanif, and others, sent a letter to the Department of Transportation. Basically, we need immediate action. We need immediate, pedestrian safety measures that we know save lives, including mid-block traffic lights, which would slow traffic, daylight the pedestrian crossings, extend the curb intersections, and redesign the sidewalk and pedestrian spaces, especially surrounding the EQE entrance and exit ramps. And some of these changes have been requested for decades. The Downtown Brooklyn Traffic Calming Task Force, which was impaneled in 1999, they requested the I believe raised crosswalks at Atlantic and Hicks, Atlantic and Henry, and Atlantic and Clinton, exactly where Katie Harris and 3 other people died. So we cannot, and we simply, we won't accept any more injuries and fatalities, on that stretch. And it's time for a multi-elected official coordinated effort. And that's exactly what, we're doing. And we need the DOT to, come back to us, as Councilmember Restler said, perhaps more concisely and articulately than I did. On the state level, we finally passed a budget. It was a month late and 5 missed budget deadlines past the April 1st deadline, not that I'm counting. We did not get everything we wanted, but we did secure several important victories. First of all, the Empire State Child Tax Credit now applies to families, to children rather, from 0 to 3. There's no minimum age to receive aid. We consider this a down payment on Senator Gounardes' Working Families Tax Credit, which would basically be a state version of the federal child tax credit that we had temporarily and successfully reduced child poverty by something like 25% in 9 months. We would absolutely like to replicate the success of that on the state level. Every victory we gain, including this, is just one step closer to that. CUNY, as you know, the governor's budget proposed tuition hikes across the board. We fought against that, and we're proud to say that we secured, funding such that there will be no tuition hikes for, in-state SUNY and CUNY students. And the MTA, we also secured additional funding for the MTA, which would help improve, in particular weekend service, but also service, more generally. We continue to believe that, the way to ensure the stability of the MTA is to attract riders, and the way that you attract riders is through better service, which requires, a certain baseline level of funding. So we're very happy to have gotten, a lot of what we wanted there. And we're going to continue fighting for, funding for working families, funding for CUNY and SUNY, and much needed funding for our subways and buses, which would include, incidentally, funding for the bus lane camera enforcement program, which would help in terms of both service and safety in many stretches. So thank you. And as always, with any, if you have any constituent issues with the city or state agency, please feel free to contact our office, 718-238-6044, or Gounardes, Gounardes @nysenate.gov. We're also at the Brooklyn Heights branch of the Brooklyn Public Library every other Wednesday. I was there today from 2 to 5. I did not see any of you there, but it's okay. You can stop by on the 24th. I'll be there again. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Clay. B.Kepple from State Assemblymember Phara Souffrant Forrest's office.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm B.Kepple, Legislative Director for Assemblymember Phara Souffrant Forrest. Congratulations to all new and returning board members. I just have a few quick announcements from the Assembly members. So I wanted to make you aware of you are all invited to participate in a new program we're going to be running called Brooklyn Roots. And that's an acronym for Residents Organizing for Opportunities, Transformation, and Solidarity. So it's a series of training sessions designed to help residents of Assembly District 57 develop and build skills important for becoming strong community leaders. We encourage all residents of AD 57 to apply, no matter if you're a veteran community organizer with years of experience, or if you just want to learn some new techniques, or if you're brand new to it. It's going to be 4 sessions, and the different topics will be organizing and relationship building, power, how do we relate to power in our work, in our lives, state government 101, and then the local context about the landscape of AD 57. So it's free. It's open to anyone with a connection to 8057. And so when I'm done talking, I'm just gonna drop a link, and you can either use that link to sign up, or you can call our office and sign up that way. We also, I want to announce we have next Wednesday, we are doing a program where we have a lawyer it's a free housing law clinic for residents of District 57. So if you're having legal troubles with a landlord, if you need advice, if you're behind on rent payments, you can come and talk to a lawyer at our office free of charge and get advice and see what you need to do to help out. So I'm going to drop the link for that in the chat. And then also just 2 additional budget items I wanted to call out. So we did get rental assistance for NYCHA, 391 million. And we also got capital funding for NYCHA, 135 million. You know, it's not what we need. We need a lot more. But it is a win considering, you know, to get the state to properly devote funding to NYCHA is a very difficult battle a lot of the time. So we just wanted to let you know that Assemblymember Forrest fought very hard for that, and she did manage to secure some of that funding. And if you need anything, you know, our office is always around, and that's it from me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brian. J.Gonzalez from Public Advocate Jumaane Williams' office.
Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great evening. My name is J.Gonzalez. I am Chief Deputy Public Advocate for Community Affairs for Public Advocate Jumaane D. Williams. Happy to be here. Keeping it short, I really just wanted to invite everyone and inform everyone of our State of the People week that we are having next week. And I will put in a link shortly into the chat that has the itinerary. There will be a series of events, including film festivals and screenings and panel discussions on the various topics that we cover, ranging from public safety to health to infrastructure, housing, and so on and so forth, which will then end with a State of the People address on Thursday, May 18th. So the entire itinerary is on Eventbrite, and folks can sign up to join and attend. They are free of charge. And I will post this shortly in the chat, the bit.ly link, for those who would like to check it out. That is all.
Thanks so much, Jalissa. Daniel Abramson for Borough President Reynoso.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to echo all the congratulations that have been spoken for the new members. I had the pleasure of interviewing all the applicants for CB2, or almost all the applicants. I think we had over 100, so many really talented, well-qualified people. In the end, we were happy to appoint Hassan Mamoun and Janet Atkent along with the council member appointments as well. So congratulations to everyone. This year, I think we're welcoming 5 new members under the age of 18 in the borough, and just a wealth of people with a diverse range of experience. So congratulations. This month, we also welcomed Reverend Kimberly Council, or Kim Council, to the Borough Hall team as our new Deputy Borough President. In her new role, Reverend Council will serve as an external surrogate for Borough Hall, while also leading faith-based work and other special projects. So we're really happy to have her on board. We're also excited to be moving into the next phase of our comprehensive planning effort to create a guide for equitable growth in the borough. We have several opportunities to engage. There will be a public workshop on Thursday, May 18th, 6 p.m. at Borough Hall. And so we'd love to get your feedback either at that event or online. I'll put the information for those opportunities in the chat. You can also, if you're Still seeking more opportunities for civic engagement beyond the community board. CEC general elections are here. Voting starts started on April 21st. I'm sorry, that started on April 21st and went through May 9th. The borough president is also appointing members, and that application is online. So I'll put that in the chat as well. Coming up tomorrow, we have Jewish American Heritage Month celebration at Borough Hall, and we also will be having an Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month at Borough Hall. And I'll share that with the community board when we have that flyer. And if you need anything else, I'll put my email in the chat as well. We're always here for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Next, I see E.Cen visiting us in a new role at Comptroller Brad Lander's team.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good to be here. E.Cen, Brooklyn Borough Director of Public Affairs. I'm just going to share my information in the chat, and I just have one quick update from our office. So on behalf of the Comptroller's office, I want to invite members of the public to participate in the New York City Banking Commission's first ever public hearing on Thursday, May 25th at 12 p.m. at 1 Center Street at the mezzanine level. The New York City Banking Commission is the 3-member body comprised of representatives from the mayor, comptroller, and finance commissioner that are responsible for designating bank institutions as eligible, that would be eligible to hold our city's public money. So this hearing will provide an opportunity for the public to share its experience and feedback on the 28 banks that have applied for this designation. I'll share the full list in the chat as well. And testimony may also address your work on issues relating to access to financial services, financial disparities, and how you would like to see the commission evaluate the bank's applications. So if you are unable to attend in person, you can also submit written testimony via a portal, and I'll share that link as well, or by sending it via email to our offices. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Ed. I see J.Watkins from Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office.
Good evening, everyone. The background noise, I've been having some technical difficulties and I'm in a noisy area. But first of all, J.Gonzalez sends his well wishes. The DA has been having multiple events over the past several weeks. Just last week, I think almost a week ago, we had the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Celebration, which was quite a successful event. And next month, there will be Puerto Rican Day events and celebrations and so forth. I always ask people to go to our website, brooklynda.org, and just briefly on the a couple of days ago, there was an announcement from the DA about the indictment of the person that did the horrendous U-Haul truck sort of catastrophe that killed one person and injured about a dozen other people. But that's all I have for right now, and have a great day, and I'll talk to you. I'll see you all next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. And Chair Singletary, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
Unless I missed anyone, I think we got everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, Taya. I appreciate you filling in for that part of the agenda. Next item on the agenda are announcements from any New York City agencies. So I know we just did the elected officials, but if there are any New York City designated agencies that are represented this evening, at this time, we ask that you make any announcements you may have and identify what agency you're representing. As I look through, I don't see anyone, but I just want to double check one more time. Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is item number 7, committees for action. And we're going to start with, when I call the name of the committee, the representative chair will introduce themselves. And if there is a vice chair, then we'll go to the vice chair list. So we'll start with committees for action, finance and personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Jordan, and I serve as the chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee. My vice chair is Mr. Brandon Smith. The committee actually met on April 27th. We discussed the budget, which I'm going to be presenting to you in a couple of minutes, for fiscal year 2024. In addition, we also will continue to discuss our postings for the 2 job positions that we have available. That's still, but we still haven't gotten final approvals on that. Well, not so much approvals, but we haven't finalized the method in which we're going to actually have these postings published. However, what the committee is doing is preparing for when that happens, that we will be ready with interview questions, interview process, so that we can facilitate getting staff up to full, have the full personnel in our staff in our office. Right now, Taya is doing a absolutely fantastic job, but she does need help. And those are some of the things. We did have a report from Mr. Smith on the health fair, and I think he'll probably talk about that a little bit later. And that was about it. So I believe everyone has a copy of the budget proposal for the fiscal year 2024 budget proposal. So according to our bylaws, section 10E of the bylaws states that every year the full board will approve a budget before the fiscal year starts. And the fiscal year starts for us and for the city on July 1st. So this is either this meeting or the next meeting. We were ready for this meeting, so we want to present it to the full board, and I'll go through it line by line. And if you have any questions, certainly I'm available for that. We want to thank Taya for putting this all together for us and also listing some of our expenditures from before. The committee had a very vibrant discussion about this and agreed that this is what we were going to present to the board, and the vote was 5-0-0. The draft budget reflects a small increase in expenses to accommodate eventually our office being fully staffed and up to speed. Some adjustments are typically required after the citywide budget is ratified by the mayor and city council. So what that means is we approve this budget ourselves. We actually get the numbers from OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, whenever they become official for the community boards. The committee will then come back to the board and inform you if there's any differences or if there's any changes from what we had presented originally. Usually we would have had this information around this time, but there have been some delays as far as approval of the budgets for the community board, so we don't have that information at this point. So I'm going to go through the line items, and Taya did actually an excellent job, and we actually agreed. Some of the line items that we used to use in prior years no longer appropriate. So we kind of reordered things. The total amount, now we're talking about other than personal expense services, which means that has nothing to do with salaries or anything else. These are just expenses that the community board will incur during the course of the fiscal year. I'll start with supplies and materials, though we're pretty much up to speed, but we budgeted $350 because we kind of took the money from the, well, not money from the previous year, but the money that you see on the fiscal year 23, we actually allocated that across some other object codes. So we didn't use printing supplies, we don't use anymore. Food and forage used to be a water cooler that we no longer have. So we are actually just been purchasing water when the situation occurs. We actually have not done that either because of the fact that this goes prior to COVID. So we haven't purchased any water, but that's what, if we had to do that, we could also allocate funds to that. Postage, we used to have a postage meter at one time. We no longer have the postage meter. And we don't have a postage fund, so we didn't budget anything for this fiscal year 24. Cleaning supplies, $1,200, and that is a one-time purchase of a hair, I think it's an air purifier, HEPA air purifiers for the office. Next one is data processing supplies, Zoom and Adobe annual licenses. And of course, you know, we've been using Zoom quite often for our meetings. So that was $1,200 allocated for that. Data processing supplies, I'm sorry, let's see. Oh, equipment in general. Okay, one-time purchase of desktop webcams. I don't know what the reason was, but our computers didn't have a camera on them, so we wanted to purchase cameras for all the computers that are in the office. So when we have meetings on Zoom or electronic meetings, that there's a camera installed on the computers in the office. Office furniture, we wanted to get 2 office chairs. Those will replace 2 chairs that are pretty much need replacement at this particular time. And standing desk converters. That is that folks can actually, I don't know if you've seen these things before, where you can stand up and work for a little while and then sit down. So it's ergonomic, and it's leads to not having to sit at a desk for hours and hours and hours. It gives a chance for the person to actually stand up and work and then sit down there. Office equipment, one-time purchase of a dual monitor mounts and desk lights. This is a one-time purchase. This is something you probably won't see in subsequent years, but that's where we allocated $800 there. Books and subscriptions, the New York Times and Cranes, New York. This is something we used to have at one time before. We had not been utilizing those subscriptions, but actually it's a lot more now than what it was. Originally, we had it allocated $150. No longer can you get a subscription for the time. I think even just the Times alone would cost you over $300 change in Cranes, New York. So we allocated $465 for that. We allocated no money for rentals and miscellaneous equipment. We don't have any current contracts. Local travel expenditures, we allocated $2,000 for that. We anticipated a return into executive meetings. In executive meetings, we actually, when we have an executive meeting, we usually have a small, modest meal, a sandwich actually, and some water for those that attend that. And we used to have executive meetings at least 10 times a year, I believe. That's in anticipation of us returning to that process. Equipment contracts, we don't have any, maintenance contracts, that is, we don't have any. And data processing maintenance contracts, we don't have any either. The OMB assigned money, the $3,000, we had actually left that there. Now, let me just mention this also. Any of the money that are in these object codes, they're not solidified that we have to spend the money in that object code. At times in the past, and we've done this before, we've transferred money where there's a need. So I just want to let everybody know that you don't think that, okay, all this money is where we have to spend it at. Not necessarily, not for the other than personal services. So the $3,000, another thing that that came up sometime before. We want to make sure that the new office staff and even our current district manager are able to get some training on new processes, and even some of the routine processes that we have, that the city has for processing expenses and invoices and things of that nature. So we left that $3,000 there as a placeholder. The storehouse, every DCAS, I forget what those, we call it DCAS, it's an acronym, but it stands for, anyway, it's administrative services for the city. They always give us $200. Doesn't mean we have to spend it there, but they always allocate that. At one time, that $200 was for paper, but certainly now we wouldn't be using that expenditure for paper, but that's usually always there. The 1996 for Do It, and that's another acronym for IT and telephone services. That's what the city actually gives us in our budget, but actually it just pays for Wi-Fi, their internet services, and telephones that we have there in the office. So all of that comes out to about $14,951. The amount that you see, the assignment differential, that's the amount of money that the city pays for our office space at 350J. So we're not going to be approving that. That's just something that they allocate to us every year. Just wanted to give you that for your information. And the $2 actually should go into that 499 object code. So it'd be $3,002. And that's about it. So the total amount that that I'd like to offer for the board's consideration and approval is $14,951 for other than personal services. Mr. Singletary, that is my report. And is there any questions?
So thank you, Mr. Jordan. Just for the purposes of information, the acronyms that Mr. Jordan mentioned at the last two items, DCAS, Department of Citywide Administrative Services, and DO-IT, Department of Information, Technology and Telecommunications, are the city agencies that monitor those line items on behalf of the community board. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
Bill Flournoy, motion to accept.
Mr. Flournoy, second. Mr. Gordon, is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please, just for the purpose of our note taker, can you digitally raise your hand? That way we're able to track who's approved. So all of the board members, would you digitally raise your hand if you approve? Thomas, we good?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Can you please lower your hand? Right. Anyone opposed, would you please digitally raise your hand? Anyone opposed? Okay, is there anyone abstaining? Would you please follow the same process? Thank you, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, for that report. We appreciate it. The next committee to report this evening is Health, Environment, and Social Services.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Brandon Smith. I'm the Chair of Health, Environment, and Social Services. Honored to have as my co-chair, Ms. Nicole McKnight, and our secretary, Ms. Jessica Thurston. Before I quickly get into my report, I just want to remind everybody that this is the last meeting before our big health fair in June, which is going to be June 10th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Commodore Barry Park. It's going to be a wonderful event featuring all kinds of health services, medical providers, a truck that tests people's hearing, story time from the public library, a panel discussion on mental health as it impacts maternal health, and a really broad swath of different activities in partnership with a number of organizations, including Friends of Commodore Barry Park, Brooklyn Hospital, and the Ingersoll Whitman and Farragut Tenant Associations. Really hope you check it out, make a plan to be there, tell your friends. We have a flyer which we'll put in the chat. I'll get to my report. The last week we had a great meeting, and I want to really thank Jessica Thurston, who in the midst of a train commute and some spotty Wi-Fi for me, took charge and was able to administer the proceedings. We had 3 liquor licenses, which I'll run through, all of which were approved. First, in due course, 63 Lafayette, FGOD LLC. This was the only liquor license out of the 3. The others were not liquor. This is a location which is going to be a oyster bar / restaurant. It is going to be operated by a gentleman who's a 14-year Fort Greene resident who's worked at a number of different establishments in the in the area. The location used to be called Scarpello's, and the proposed hours are going to be from until midnight on Sunday through Thursday and until 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. There were 2 letters of concern received by the board from members of the community, which were about general noise in the area, and there was also some concern about a different location that was a block away, which also closed at 2 a.m. There was some outdoor space at this location where the applicant is seeking to take advantage of the DOT program. The outdoor area will close at 10 p.m. On 7 days a week. We had a committee discussion about the nature of music that was going to be played at this location, because there's going to be a background music, and it seems like a DJ on occasion. We did not make it a condition of the motion, but we agreed, and the applicants clearly agreed in the course of our conversation, that the DJ would leave 2 hours prior to closing anytime that they were there. The location's ADA accessible. There will always be someone there to manage it from the ownership team if it's rented out for a private event. There was no one from the community who showed up in opposition to this or in favor of it at the meeting. And after committee discussion and the point I raised about the DJ going home early, the application was approved 10-0-0. The second item that we heard from is a restaurant called Choice that's located at 318 Lafayette. Now, this is wine, beer, and cider, so no liquor at this location, and it's a transfer upon the sale from a different provider. There is going to be an outdoor area that is within the property line, and the hours of this location are going to be 8 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. We had some discussion about the outdoor hours and came to an agreement that it should be 10 p.m. close Sunday to Thursday, 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. The outdoor space is within the property line. The location is going to be a restaurant serving pastries, paninis, and entrees. There are no structural changes to the restaurant from the previous owner. And after a substantial discussion, there was nobody. Oh, there were 2 letters of approval from the neighboring residents for this one, and the location was approved by a vote of 9-0-1. The one abstention was due to a Zoom connectivity issue for the committee member, not anything substantive. Finally, the third item was 445 Albee Square West DeKalb Pizzeria. This was a kiosk within the DeKalb Market Hall. As there are no residents that have any sort of impact for these kind of kiosk type locations, the committee questions were very minimal here. It's going to be 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. daily. After a brief discussion, the committee voted in favor of this application 10-0-0. This is just beer and cider also. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation for all 3, unless there's an objection.
So
hold on, I'm sorry. Unless there's an objection. So hearing no objections, we'll proceed with the committee's recommendation of all 3. Motion is made by Mr. Meyer. Can I get
second.
Second by Ms. Christopher. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, great. Hearing none, I'd ask all in favor if you would please digitally raise your hand. Okay. Okay, can I ask you to lower your hand, please? Okay, great. Does anyone opposed? Would you please follow the same format? Anyone abstaining, please follow the same format. The motion carries. Thank you. Thomas, I have a count of 2 more than the previous vote. Is that correct with what you have?
I had 1 more.
At 31. I had 32, but okay, it carried. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next committee to report, land use.
Thank you, Chair Lanny. I just want to ask, as part of the the board office will be remaining at J Street for the foreseeable future, I imagine.
That's correct.
There'll be no changes. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
thanks.
correct.
Right. Okay, so we met on April 19th and we had we had 2 hearings. First, I will be dealing with that in a moment. I wish to thank again Dr. Starfin, our co-chair, working hard to help us, especially with the work on Atlantic Avenue. And especially want to thank Karen Johnson, who has worked very hard with us in spite of all the difficulties that she has to face. Sadly, this term will be her last. She's not been re-upped as a public member. But I want to especially thank her for the work that we have remaining work in this particular term. And we want to thank her for that work. And before, all people should know that work she does. Okay, so now.
Mr. Gordon, if I may,
yeah.
And I hate to interrupt, I never like doing this to chairs or co-chairs.
Yeah.
I just want to put a finer point on the comments you just made. It's my understanding that Karen may still be mulling over the possibility of remaining as a public member. So we'll hold our goodbyes for now. And then
okay, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, because her presence is highly valued.
I can tell by the passion in your voice. I'll let you proceed with the report now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Len. All right, yeah. So we had 2 hearings, and I also should thank Thomas. I always mess up your last name again. I'm sorry, but thank you for doing the hearings part of the minutes for the stuff that I'm about to do. Okay, the first one was a hearing. It's a ULURP hearing for 280 Bergen Street in Borum Hill, right by 3rd Avenue. And on this one, this was a special request. All right, and I'll give the explanation. Normally, when and it's a new property that's proposed to be built at Bergen Street and 3rd Avenue. Now, normally when there's it's a normal requirement that parking spaces are required to be provided. And in this case, it would be normally 125 parking spaces would have been required as part of the new development that's being proposed and to be built at that location. However, Councilmember Lincoln Restler has asked that parking spaces be moved away in favor of other, and especially to assist in getting more, let's say, space for community facilities, for transit, and especially because this location by Bergen and 3rd is close to the big Atlantic Terminal station. It's close to several bus lines, and the feeling was that parking spaces would not be appropriate at this particular location. So that the hearing would be the removal of the 125 parking spaces. There would be, we're talking about a 302 unit building, and it will be also space for not only for, of course, the residences, but also for community facilities and for retail as well. So the request was to remove that, to take out, substitute the parking spaces. Now, we had a good bit of discussion on this one, especially from our members who live in the more easterly parts of the board, especially over in Fort Greene and Clinton Hill. The feeling was that they're more car dependent for as opposed to being reliant on public transit. And it is a little, especially as you go further out, going towards Clinton Hill, the bus, reliability on buses and the remaining bus train line that you might be able to get is a little bit more sketchy. So they felt that it was they wanted the option to be able to continue to have parking spaces and to drive into the towards downtown. However, in discussion of the matter, we decided, the majority of the committee decided 7-3-0 that the parking spaces should be set aside in favor of more spaces for the various, for more public transit or more public oriented with the community facilities, with more retail, and to have a garden area in place. It'll be a garden area in place of that, so that it'll be more something that I think it'll be of enjoyment for both the community and for the tenants of this proposed 302 unit building. So we decided in favor of the application. That's at 7-3-0. The next hearing involves over at, let's say, think of it as a triangle, so to speak, over on Fulton Street at, what is it, 3, yes. Excuse me, let's get 3, what is it, yeah, 589 Fulton Street, 589 Fulton Street. I was just trying to get the number exactly. Now think of the triangle at Fulton, a little bit of Bond Street, DeKalb Avenue, and Flatbush Avenue Extension. And if you go over there, you'll see that that's an open space right now, with the exception of the remaining old DeKalb Avenue subway entrance, which is still there, although it's been blocked off. That old entrance is still there. And what also still exists there is the old Saks Furniture building, the old Saks Furniture store it's still there, a little white building on the side. Now, what the request came from the owners basically is a curb cut for a loading dock that would be built on the DeKalb Avenue, let's say, segment of this particular triangle. And it was felt that this would be the most convenient or the most reasonable one of the three big sides. We had a long discussion on this one, and we felt that we had some problems or some concerns. Again, yes, there is going to be, as traffic comes into any of the locations, but even on the DeKalb Avenue side, we felt that it was some concern, especially because you have the B38 bus and also traffic coming through past Juniors and eventually merging into Fulton Street. And we felt that it was a bit of concern, but at the same time we realized that there wasn't really much of a alternative. The Flatbush Avenue side would be a problem. The Fulton Street side would be a major problem, given that you have three bus lines and traffic coming out of there. You have huge traffic on the Flatbush Avenue extension. So we favored the application with our own, I'll say, concerns, but we favored it at 7-3-1. Now, we had a couple of landmark commission, preservation, the Landmark Preservation Commission certificates of appropriateness. We have one on 1 Cambridge Place over in Clinton Hill, in the Clinton Hill Historic District. And there was a request to do work on the, let's say, up on the roof, doing some work on the roof deck, and doing some extensions throughout. And we were considering it, except for one big thing. The work was already completed. And normally the work is not completed as part of the application process. The work had been already completed by the time the applicant had come to us. And we were very concerned about that. And as a result, we decided to disapprove the application. So it was we moved and approved filed it carefully, 6-3-2 to disapprove the application for 1 Cambridge Place. The next one, which we like, is 40 Garden Place in the Brooklyn Heights Historic District. And on that one, there was work to be done at the front entrance, which would do a little bit of excavation. It'll do some work on the windows, which would add light going into the cellar. It would, the front entrance way would be moved a little bit, but we felt that it was a nicely done work. The Brooklyn Heights Association also had a conference with the applicant and liked it as well. And we liked the work and we approved it unanimously, 11-0-0. So those are our decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. I want to break up the recommendation in 2 parts. First, I want to deal with the ULURP items, and then we'll deal with certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept committee's recommendation for the 280 Bergen and 589 Fulton. Ms. Fibush, I'm looking for a second. Mr. Ferreira, is there any discussion on the motion?
Could we vote on these separately, Mr. Chair?
Well, I already got a motion to do both. So
Sorry.
Is there any compelling reason why you like to break them up? Because we can ask any
Yes.
questions we have now. You can ask any questions.
At the meeting, the presenter was, piping in that the community board recommended that he did not do the parking. And there was a lot of misunderstanding that by not putting up the parking, there were going to be more units or less expensive units, and neither of the two were the case. There weren't going to be any additional unit because no parking didn't increase the FAR, and the price of the units were going to stay the same. So it was really just saving the developer. Parking in this building is really for people renting hourly parking. It's not for the owners of the building to just keep their luxury cars in the building. And that neighborhood has become such a business district, that place that's not on the street that very much in need.
Thank you. Mr. Howell?
Thank you. The presenters did say that there would be no increase in the affordable units with or without the parking, but they were sort of vague as to what this would mean for affordability. They didn't say that the units would be cheaper or not. They just sort of said that this would reduce, the cost of the endeavor without being clear. So the only thing that they were clear about is that this would not increase the number of affordable units, but there was no statement as to whether or not this would allow the units to be made affordable at cheaper rates.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion for the ULURP applications?
Ms. Fibush hands is up, but she's on mute.
Betty?
Yeah, okay. I just, I appreciate Ms. Alley bringing this up. In terms of parliamentary procedure, can I withdraw my motion before the vote? Because I think she makes a good point.
Okay, so let me walk through this for a minute. While I appreciate the conversation about the affordability, what's before us is about parking. And I've not heard anything that was communicated that materially changes the committee's recommendation with regard to parking. So with all due respect, what is the impetus for wanting to change the motion to vote on the committee's recommendations for ULURP?
Yeah, because initially, I think the people felt, well, they would not have to do parking, but there could be more apartments for people or better affordability or something that would be a good trade-off in a sense. But based on the discussion, it didn't sound like that. They were going to save money on not having to build the parking. And I don't believe it encourages parking. It could get off more more cars off the street into this type of a parking facility, because we know that there are bikes and we know that there are garbage containers and everything else on the street. So it's actually helping the community by letting people in the community, I guess, purchase or rent these parking spots. So I think we should vote separately.
I'm gonna call on the 4 remaining questions. Then I'm gonna defer to our parliamentarian, Mr. Quint, and we'll figure out how to go from there. So hold on, John, hold on. Ms. Blunt.
Thinking residents presented and asked developers or asked to have like developers not the requirement for parking to be waived. Part of the reason he said would benefit is that we will have more affordable housing. This is where this issue is coming up. We were always told that if we don't have parking, there will be more affordable housing. That is not the case. And that's why, even though we talk about parking, this is why that affordability issue always come up, because this is what we were told.
Thank you. Ms. Christopher.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. I just want to, you saw my comment that this isn't the committee meeting, and I want to just be clear that we're voting on how the committee voted to recommend. And I will just also further say that I think some miscommunication or some lack of clarity might have been between the working group that worked with the developers on shaping their vision for 280 Bergen comprehensively. And then this very specific point about voting on parking might have led to some lack of clarity. But I just want to say that I thought that we clarified it at the committee meeting, and I want to move on.
I appreciate that, Daughtry. This will not turn into a committee meeting, I assure you of that. And for those who are not familiar, just because you heard the name, Daughtry serves as the co-chair of the Land Use Committee. Mr. Flournoy?
Yeah, quite simply, Chair Singletary, I want to vote for one and not for the other. So to vote for it disables, it does allow me to vote the way I want to if they're both combined, because I want to vote for one and against the other. So if they're combined, I can't vote for either. Simple as that.
Okay, that's fair. Mr. Quint, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Wait, let me give it Annie first. Annie.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. I have a question on the Fulton Street project. What effectively happens if it's already been built but hasn't been approved? Like what happens from here?
Wait, say that question again. If it has already been built, but
as I understood the description, the traffic reconfiguration had already been implemented, but it hadn't gone. Okay.
I think the way this is working now, right now, that's an empty lot. And so
Yeah.
the configuration is not, has been approved and nothing's been finalized. I think what they're looking for is for the community board to take a position that would factor into the elected officials and the agencies on what to do with that curb cut. But I don't think anything's finalized at the moment.
Got it.
That's
Thank you.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's just basically the curb cut. The plans are, yes, the curb cut would lead towards the loading dock, a future loading dock on the side. But yeah, nothing else has been built. It's still, you go to the corner, you go to the Juniors, get a drink, cross the street, and then you take a look and all you have is basically an empty spot except for the old Saks Furniture building, the little white building down the block, which is not part of the development, and the old DeKalb Avenue entrance, which is still has to remain. That's it.
Thank you, Carlton. Thank you, Carlton.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Thank you for that question, Annie. Grace?
Yes, just one clarifying question about that curb cut. So will that curb cut eliminate, you're saying it's being proposed to be a loading dock, so will it eliminate it, like, for example, the trucks having to double park in that area and reduce traffic congestion there?
Well,
that's the purpose, is that the curb, they would come in, trucks would go in the curb cut and go eventually into the future loading dock on that site. That's their plan.
Yeah, so wait, let me add a little more clarity to that, right? Because I don't want to misconstrue anything. The way this has been recommended, that curb cut would be applicable for that location. If there are other businesses on that strip of DeKalb going towards Bond that do not benefit from that curb cut, then that brings about a different connotation, meaning that there are vehicles who may be double parking to go in and out of Juniors. There may be illegal double parking taking place. I just want to put it in the right context. I think the loading dock in this context was meant to provide as a service and alleviate traffic for everything that resides within that parcel.
That's correct.
Okay, Grace, is that clear?
Okay, so just it would be utilized only by that property owner or it would be utilized by
That's correct. That's correct. The property.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, there's no parking for people just to drive in except for the specific, I guess, is the commercial use of
That's correct.
Got it.
Coming in,
And
and bringing their stuff in.
And do we know what business that property owner, is it going to be a residential? Is it going to be commercial?
It'll be residential, it'll be commercial, that we know. There was some talk of a grocery store, but they were not definite on that. You figure it'll be.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I see it's in there. Didn't want to prolong the conversation.
Don't apologize. Okay. Hassan?
Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, is there any traffic study has done on this project? And if it is done, if that has been looked through the DCP proposal for proposed traffic study for foreseeable future around the building, and what has been done on that front?
What I recall, they have not done a full environmental study. That much I can recall.
So how we approve a project if there is no environmental study has done? I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, right now we're approving the curb cut. If you feel that the curb cut leads towards other problems, then you may say no. If you feel that the curb cut is an assist for traffic flow, then you vote yes.
So I just want to mention real quick, this is what I mentioned earlier about the passion and insight of our new members. It just so happens that the last 3 questions have come from our new members. So they're off to a great start. And I think, Hassan, to make things a little clearer for you, these are the type of detailed discussions that we go through at the committee level. And once we get this process going, to have you and additional new colleagues on an assigned committee, these are the type of questions and level of granularity that we'll get to at those levels. But I'm super happy with the conversation. This is great. Thank you for participating in the discussion. Mr. Quint, what am I doing?
I think you're going to do them separately, but I really checked to Taya because I think she has to report each of them separately, you know, to report them back to the city planning or whoever, to city planning. So I think we better have separate votes. And especially now that there's, you know, you've had all this discussion, which indicates that we're not going to have simple high majority, you know, yeses on any one of them. So I think you should split them up and do it quickly.
That's why every committee should have a parliamentarian. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to cancel the motion from Ms. Fibers, who was the motion maker. I'm now going to do this different. So I'm going to take each of these, including the items for certificate of appropriateness, individually. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation for 280 Bergen.
Bill
Mr.
Floyd, motion
Jordan.
to accept.
Motion by Mr. Jordan.
Seconded by Hazra.
Second by Ms. Ali. Is there any discussion on the motion? Oswald, I need you to take your hand down.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's all right. Is there any discussion on the motion?
I might not have heard it, but it was for 280 Bergen as the committee recommendation, right?
For the committee's recommendation
Right.
for 280 Bergen. Yep. That's
Okay,
right.
thank you.
No problem. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, digitally raise your hand. Thomas, we're good?
Yep.
Okay, great. Please lower your hand.
Do we not have to do a roll call for this?
I thought the same thing, a roll call vote for ULURP.
Well, if we're digitally raising your hand.
It's recorded.
Right, you're right. Well,
Yeah, the only question is, Lenny, if anybody's calling in and they can't raise their hand.
I know
you
that's
really
what
have to-
that's what it just crossed my mind. If someone doesn't have their name and they're just dialing in, it just crossed my mind. Okay. Do over, take three. Thomas, do you have a roster? You don't have a roster. Do you have a roster of all the board members?
I have a tabulating sheet.
With all the board members' names, all 50 board members?
Yes, we're prepared.
We're prepared?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right, so Thomas, what you have to do is call each name and record their vote. And then what you do is you call the chair last in that process, okay?
Got it.
All right, the floor is yours.
All right. Amir Abu Akil.
Approve.
Janet Kent.
Yes.
Hazra Ali.
Yes.
Clara Alston.
Yes.
Emily Anadu.
In favor.
Ernest Augustus.
Mr. Augustus, could you come off mute, please? Chair Singletary, I believe Ernie's on his phone, so he may not be able to unmute.
Yeah, I don't know how you're not able to unmute this. Let's just keep moving.
Esther Blunt.
No.
Doug Bentner.
Yes.
Daughtry Kastarpin.
Yes.
Annie Colarusso.
Yes.
Okosu Akab,
Yes.
Betty Fibush,
No.
Nicholas Ferreira,
Yes.
Bill Fenoy,
Yes.
Cheryl Gelbs,
Yes.
Kate Gilman, Kate
Gilman,
Gilman,
please come off mute.
Yes, sorry, I thought you heard me there. Yes.
Carlton Gordon,
Yes.
Deborah Holland,
Yes.
Rachel Hong,
Yes.
Ryan Howell,
Yes.
Carolyn Hubbard.
Coming in weary.
Yes.
Thank you. Thomas Hugie, I'm an I. Leonard Jordan Jr.,
Yes.
Leroy Lee,
Yes.
Hassan Mamoon,
Yes.
Nicole McKnight,
Yes.
Sid Meier,
No.
Latrell Mosso,
No.
Grace Pune,
Yes.
John Quint,
Yes.
Melinda Rasco,
No.
Yvette Richardson,
Yes.
Sierra Scala,
Yes.
Lisa Scott,
Yes.
Sheetal Shobowale, need to come off mute. I don't think I can hear you.
Is Sheetal Shobawali, are you still with us?
Let's proceed.
All right, Brandon Smith,
Yes.
Cheryl Williams,
No.
Kate Yearwood Young,
Yes.
Barbara Zella Gringer,
She had to leave the call.
Yeah, she may have dropped. She indicated she might have to leave early.
got it. And I believe that might be everyone present. So Chair Lenny Singletary.
Yes.
Great. So that's 30-7.
30 in favor, you said?
30 in favor, 7 opposed.
All right, so motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next item is 589 Fulton. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
So moved.
Mr. Crocker, second by Mr. Jordan. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Just to point out, it's a non-ULURP, so we can just do a regular vote.
Gotcha. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, great. Those in favor, please digitally raise your hand. Thomas, I see 33. Does that work for you? I see 35.
Yeah, 35.
Okay, perfect. Please lower your hand. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Please follow the same format. Anyone abstaining? Please follow the same format.
One abstention.
Please follow the same format. I see one, Thomas.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Motion carries. The next section, and I'm gonna say this slow. The next section is for the certificate of appropriateness applications. Is there any reason why we cannot vote on these together?
Yes,
What is the yes? You have a
but I have different votes for both of them.
So I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation for 1 Cambridge Place.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Botner, a second by Mr. Jordan. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing.
I just want to make sure this is the one where it was turned down because it had been filed afterwards, right?
This is
The work was done. Yeah,
this is 1
they did
Cambridge Place, and this is what the
yeah, the work was
description is on this
done before we had a chance to prove the work.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, can you take that down for me too? Okay. Abul, Amir, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Thanks. Just one question. Being a new member, I want to clarify something. So I apologize in advance.
Don't apologize. Stop. You're free. You get to ask questions all day.
Was it disapproved just because they had done the work already, or do you actually look at the merits of the work before you disapprove it? Just clarification on that.
We were trying to get it, and then they admitted that they did the work, and we normally don't. The work should not be done before we have a chance to approve on. So that's what happened. Yes, we want to see the application, we want to see the proposal, and if we like it, we vote for it. If we don't like it, we vote against it. But we don't want you going out and doing the work and then saying, "Oh, by the way, can you approve it?"
That makes sense.
I'm just gonna call on Georgie for a second, because she may want to add something. Georgie?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add that we did look at the work that was done, and in particular, there was an elevation or a raising of a one-story parapet wall that has full exposure to an adjoining street, and it was reviewed and it was not received favorably. So we did take a look at the work itself.
Bill, you have something different to add than the chair and co-chair?
Yes. Okay. As far as it being appropriate, it was split because if they had come before the committee, I believe the committee would have approved it had they not done the work first, and that's why it was split. Obviously, not everyone agreed with that, okay, but the reason why it was split was because some people felt it would have been approved. Because it's about appropriateness.
Amir, does that answer your question?
It does. No, I appreciate it. Thank you for the color.
Okay, no problem. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, great. All right. I'll accept. I'm sorry, we already did. So let's take a vote. We're going to vote in support of the committee's recommendation. So if you support the committee's recommendation, Mr. Quint, okay, everybody's beat me to it. Please raise your hand digitally. All right, Thomas, I see 26. Do you have the same?
Yes.
Okay, great. Please lower your hand. Please lower your hand. Okay. All those that are opposed, please digitally raise your hand if you're opposed.
Singletary? Chair Singletary, could we clarify Ms. Cobb's vote, please? I saw her hand raised twice.
I don't see a hand raised right now.
Ms. Cobb, how do you vote, please?
I vote to accept the committees.
Right, that's what we have.
Yes. I'm having problems with my machine. I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm not having a problem with your vote. We're good. So Thomas, I see 8 participants. Is that what you have?
That's right.
Okay, great. Can you please lower your hand? Is there anyone who's abstaining from the vote? Thomas, I see 1. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is 40 Garden Place. I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent committee's recommendation. Ms. Fibers, second, Mr. Meyer. Is there any further any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, would you all please raise your hand digitally? Thomas, my count is 33. Is that what you have?
Yep.
Okay, great. Please lower your hand. Anyone opposed? Please follow the same format. Anyone abstaining? Please follow the same format. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
By my count, I think that covers the committee actions for this evening. Is that correct? Okay. I have to apologize in advance. I need to participate, and I think there's time for me to celebrate the night shift for our nurses here at the hospital. And so I'm going to leave to celebrate Nurses Week with our staff. I'm going to turn the remaining portion of our agenda to our first vice chair, Mr. Leonard Jordan. He will be taking us through the committees to report, any other board business, community partner announcements, open forum, and then he will lead you through adjournment. I'd ask that each of the committees that are reporting, please follow the same format. Introduce yourself, introduce your vice chairs. Thank you everyone for your participation. Have a great evening, and I will see each of you soon. Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Singletary.
Thank you. Good night.
We'll go on to item number 8, committee reports. And the first will be Economic Development and Employee and Employment Committee, Mr. Bill Flanoy.
Thank you, Co-Chair, Mr. Okay. Okay, we got some background noise here.
One last snack.
Is there someone? It's not.
Ms. Piana, I think your finger is on your mute button. Thank you.
Are you talking to me?
I think we're good now. Yeah, I think we're good now.
Yeah, I didn't touch anything. Okay.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bill Flanoy. I'm the chair of the Economic Development and Employment Committee. My co-chair is Denise Peterson. Okay, my secretary is Catherine Gilman. Okay, the Economic Development and Employment Committee, we met on May 2nd. The presentation was about the Brooklyn Navy Yard, the Workforce Development Initiatives. And Nikki Evans, the Senior VP of Workforce Development Education at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, gave a presentation. I'll quickly through the presentation. It was about an hour-long meeting, so I'll just hit the high points. If you want to see all the details, you can watch it on YouTube. The STEAM Center, basically she announced that it had a 14% increase in enrollment of students. There's a total of 340 students at the STEAM Center. That included now, they're currently working on a program for a CTE program for cyber security, which is something that's actually growing tremendously right now. A lot of individuals, a lot of jobs are opening up for that. In addition to that, she also mentioned that the Brooklyn Navy Yard has an intern program. Currently, right now, it is quite a few people have actually tried to get into that program. They had 971 applicants, but unfortunately, there were only 90 paid summer internships. And those, okay. And those were for the individuals between those programs. There's 59 businesses within the Navy Yard that were actually hosting these interns. In addition to that, the Brooklyn Navy Yard also has a real estate fellows program. Currently, right now, I believe they have 9 senior college members who are into it, working with it, and it's a year-long paid commercial real estate fellowship. So that's substantial. And they have people working at the Brooklyn Navy Yard and also at Governor's Island. And they have various types of jobs they're doing as far as the real estate fellow is concerned. The job center said basically year to date, they had 1,350 visitors come to the job center. Of that, 101 were actually placed at the job. And the average wage for those individuals being placed was a little over $20 an hour. That's currently an 18% increase year over year. So that's a substantial raise for those individuals. Of those individuals, 32% had health benefits, and 80% of them received full-time permanent jobs. Of those jobs that were actually out there offered, 44% were within the CB2 catchment area of the residents within our district. They're also doing adult training. They're working with the CNC, that's computerized numerical control. And also they're going to be doing additional training for CNC to upscale your skills. And those training courses will begin August, September of this year. So keep a lookout for those. They'll probably announce them. And when they do, you'll reach out and actually try for those jobs. We also discussed using the district statement of needs to actually request additional funds be directed to the Brooklyn Navy Yard for job training. One of the things, and also for individuals who are actually looking for internships. The Brooklyn Navy Yard actually funds these endeavors as far as the internships, and as far as financing for job training, that's something else we also suggest that happens. The more funds that are available, the more job training that can be done. We also asked about outreach to the community for both job training and also other information. One of the things we're looking at is a lot of people, unfortunately, do not have access to the internet or computers. So we're trying to figure out how to get the access to these individuals who are looking for these jobs or looking for better jobs. So we're looking for centers of influence, churches, things along those lines that could actually get the word out, and even in paper form, if that's all possible. We also discussed the growth and training at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, whether or not they can offer, as I said before, there's a lot of individuals who have jobs looking for better jobs. So we're asking them to see if they can offer career advancement and other things that they can do both inside the yard and outside the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So these are things we discussed. It was pretty robust. The other thing that is coming up right now is, right now my committee has been discussing the cannabis issue. And right now, recently, I believe it was last week, Governor Hochul announced in the budget that they're looking to do additional enforcement for the illegal cannabis shops that are opening up, the dispensaries. We're going to be looking at for detail, but they're actually giving power now to the Department of Taxation and Finance to assess civil penalties against cannabis storefronts. Those fines could be up to, I believe it was 2,000, I forgot the exact amount, but it's a substantial amount on a daily basis for those individuals who are in violation. So, and they're also looking to shut those stores down and lock them so they cannot be reopened. And Chair Jordan, Co-Chair Jordan, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Flanoy. Next, we'll have Parks and Recreation. Well, Ms. Della Green, I don't think is here. Mr. Lastawecki, are you here?
Vice Chair Gordon, Barbara had asked me to prepare a report on behalf of
Oh,
the.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I have it if you want it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm
Good
sorry.
evening,
I'm sorry.
everyone.
I missed
Thank
the-
you. No
but,
problem.
I'm
No,
sorry
no,
about
it
that.
happens. She was on earlier. I thought she might be able to do it, but she had to jump. So good evening all, and thank you, Vice Chair Gordon. I'm Douglas Bettner, a member of the Parks Committee, and our chair, Barbara Zeller-Gringer, had to jump off and asked me to provide a brief update on the happenings of our April 17th Parks and Recreation meeting. Thank you, Thomas, for the notes and to the committee minutes, and the rest of the committee members for your participation that evening. The committee was joined by representatives from Partnership for Parks, Anna Hoyer, who serves as Partnership's Brooklyn Senior Outreach Coordinator, and our new liaison to the partnership, and Claudette Ramos, who's their Director of Outreach. The committee received a thorough presentation on the organization's role in parks. As many of you are aware, Partnership for Parks is a public-private partnership between the City Parks Foundation and the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, and they chiefly support and champion volunteers with a focus on park beautification, while also acting as a resource for both community partners and nonprofits. They explained how they help to foster volunteers into community leaders and build long-term investment in public parks throughout the city. They also spoke about the various learning and networking opportunities they offer, including classes and trainings in the organization's signature program, It's My Park, which engages thousands of volunteers year-round. Anya also highlighted all the public parks within the Brooklyn Community District 2. In CB2, she mentioned some 55 parks and green spaces alone. She also shared with us a list of all the community partner groups affiliated with Partnership for Parks in the district. Claudette then mentioned how PFP works closely with the regional manager for New York City Parks. And she then offered to act as a contact if residents in the district have park-related issues. After the presentation, our chair mentioned the health fair, a little plug, on June 10th, which is co-hosted with the Health, Environmental and Social Services Committee, and encourage all those with time to volunteer. And our next committee meeting is this coming Monday evening, where the Director of Capital Projects for Brooklyn Park Operations will be joining us with a report on the status of capital improvement projects throughout the district. Thank you all for your time. Vice Chair Jordan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bednar, and I apologize again. Also, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Andrew Lestawecki. I finally learned how to pronounce his name after so many years, but Mr. Lestawecki was our chair of the Parks and Recreation for a time, and also most recently the vice chair, who's going to be stepping down from the board. So thank you so much for your many years of service, Mr. Lestawecki. Next, we will have Transportation and Public Safety, Mr. Sid Meier.
Good evening, everyone, and I welcome the new members as well. My vice chair is Esther Blout, and the long-serving secretary is John Quinn. We had our meeting, and it was actually an interesting meeting. The Department of Transportation made a presentation on Ashland Place and about changes to put in a 2-lane protected bike lane and to change the traffic flow on part of the avenue. And if Taya, if you can put up the presentation, we can show you some of the changes that have been suggested. And this is Ashland, and it will become a 2-lane protected bike lane. It will have the Ashland will, from Hanson to DeKalb will become 1-way northbound, and St. Felix to Ashland will become 1-way westbound and create a shared street. We had a lively discussion of this, and we made many suggestions to DOT. At the end of the presentation, I asked them if they were asking for any approval from us, and the answer was they were not. They're going to do this as a matter of their right, and that the changes they plan to put in over the summer. We did have a letter from BAM opposing the changes. And that's not the shared street. That's just a definition of shared street. And that was that presentation. I also want to point out that the federal DOT has approved the congestion pricing for Manhattan, and we can expect that to be implemented over the next year. The state is still considering whether or not they will do residential parking permits. And of course, Atlantic Avenue is a major problem, continuing problem. The tragic death of the woman on Atlantic and Clinton is something that we're aware of, and we hope to hear from the Department of Transportation, and we will hear from the community on what suggestions they have. And I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. I don't see any questions. Next is Youth Education and Cultural Affairs, Ms. Betty Feibush.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And I want to welcome new members. I want to also say at this point, we do not have a co-chair or a secretary, so we're looking to include more people. So thank you. We heard from, forgive my pronunciation, Los Suarez, L-O-S-S-U-R-E-S. It's a social service agency that it will be working with young people in Whitman and Farragut niches. And these are young people who are what's called multi-agency involved. So they might have, the family might have an ACS case. They might be involved with the police, the probation, attendance issues, and other issues. And usually when young people are being touched by so many agencies, there's just a lack of coordination, a lack of trust. So that Los Suarez is building what's called a wraparound service. So there will be a mentor, a social worker, a caseworker. If the family needs food, if the family needs help with employment, it'll be like a wrap around the child and the family. So we heard a very strong presentation from those leaders, and we're able to connect Los Suarez with our District 13, which has the Farragut and Whitman communities. And they're already connecting with the attendance person and the social work person at District 13 to meet with the people at Los Suarez to help these young people and families. So that was very exciting. And then we heard from the Navy Yard Madison Boys and Girls Club, which sadly is facing bankruptcy, selling their building, and children are losing their services. So we heard from the executive director and so on, and we were mostly concerned with how the children would be served till the end of the year, in the summer, and going forward. And as a result of that meeting, subsequently, not within our committee, but I believe that the council member, Crystal Hudson's office, Lincoln Restler, people from DYCD, Department of Ed, all the residents from the community, some parents, etc., and other electeds came together to really try to figure out how will the young people be served. So that is an ongoing conversation, but there's a lot of energy going into finding appropriate after school and summer programs and clubhouse programs. Our next meeting will be May 24th, and we'll be meeting with the provider of the Beacon program, which is also an after school and summer program throughout the year. And that's, they serve children at the Susan S. McKinney facility, which is a 6 to 12th grade school in that area, like adjacent to the Whitman houses. So we're really focusing on that area and helping the young people and families in those areas.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Freibush. Our next agenda item is other board business. Is there any other board business that we have not covered so far? One thing that I wanted to mention, I want to thank our outgoing board members. Some of them may still be here, I'm not sure. Victor Andrews, Carrie Bailey, Monique Cumberbatch, Lindsay Einhorn, Andrew Lastawecki, and Celeste Staton. Thank you for your service. Those are outgoing board members, and thank you so much for participating on Community Board 2. Hearing no other board business, we'll go to.
I just want to say one thing, in addition to what Mr. Smith said about the health fair, from our committee's perspective, you know, with youth and young people, we were able to get a donation of 200 free books to give to young people from the Brooklyn Book Bodega. And we are working on other services specifically for the young people, such as nutritional information about nutrition and healthy food and low cost nutrition, etc. So that I'll be there all day and some members of our committee. And I really encourage anybody on the board to let Mr. Smith or myself know your availability, even if you want to sit with me for an hour and give out books to kids. It's a lot of fun and it's good work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Freibush. I'm glad you mentioned that. That certainly all of us, so if some of us can come to the health fair and maybe even volunteer for a little service for a few hours, it would be greatly appreciated. And next, I'll hear from Mr. Lastawecki, Mr. Andrew Lastawecki.
Lenny, thank you. Leonard, thanks very much for the recognition. I just wanted to do two things. One, correct you. It's not Lastawecki. It really should have been a TS. Where my parents come from Western Ukraine, which was basically many years under Poland, and that C became like a TS in that generation. My parents would never change it to a TS because of what's going on today in Ukraine. TS is, the sound is like the czar, and they would never agree to that. So it's Lastawecki is the real pronunciation, but it doesn't matter. That's not it. I did wanted to thank my cohorts. It was a pleasure serving for better than 20 years. When I realized I have nothing new to offer, and there's so many youngsters that could come on board and do a better job than I could ever dream of, I think it's time to step down and say, thank you very much for the chance to serve. My opportunity was to serve while James Davis was there as a young council person. And he hooked me up and said, let's take a walk through all the parks in my district. I want to see what's going on. And that was like really sort of my start with parks. It was a great pleasure. And then, of course, we had the Atlantic Yards and a big promise with a lot of parkland there that never happened. Then there was the Brooklyn Bridge Park, and serving as the co-chair of the Community Advisory Council there. That was a pleasure. And then the last couple of years as the chair and co-chair of the Parks Committee. It was a wonderful, wonderful pleasure to serve. And I encourage everybody to, chip in and put as much time as they can. Thanks for all the good wishes, and thanks for being able to serve with all of you.
Here, here.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrew. And certainly it was a pleasure working with you. And certainly we all learned a lot from you, and especially about parks.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we'll have community partner announcements. Now, Ms. Mueller, is there a list that you might have, or do you want everyone to put their requests in the chat to speak?
I do, Mr. Jordan. First, we'll start with our friends from the Brooklyn Public Library.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Community Board 2, for letting Brooklyn Public Library share all of our news with you. My name is Rachel Tiemann, and I'm the branch manager of the Brooklyn Heights Library. I want to start with an initiative that BPL is doing. As many of you know, books are being banned all across the country. That's an issue that we're facing. And Brooklyn Public Library really answered that call. Our Books Unbanned celebrates 1 year. We launched a national campaign a year ago to fight against censorship of books. Youth ages 13 to 21 anywhere in the country can apply for a BPL e-card and access the library's entire digital catalog of ebooks, audiobooks, and databases. Teens in New York State already have this benefit. Anyone who lives, works, or goes to school in New York State can apply for a free e-card. BPL is working hard to help teens locally learn more about these issues and exercise their right to read. Teens can join BPL's Intellectual Freedom Teen Council to discuss book challenges, their favorite books, and how they can help youth across the country protect their right to read. We're so proud to support the freedom of young people to read whatever they choose. I want to just share a few things that Brooklyn Heights is doing. You may see us around town. We'll be at the Montague Open Streets on May 20th from 1 to 4 p.m. Please come and say hello to us. You also will see us at the Brooklyn Bridge Park's Kite Festival this Saturday, making paper helicopters. So you can say hi then as well. For our adults, we've got a KonMari method with Rebecca Cohen, clean out your stuff, get rid of your junk. Friday, May 12th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. We're very proud to have citizenship exam prep classes every Saturday from 10:30 to 12 p.m. and also our English conversation group every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30. For teens, we're starting some hydroponics, growing plants indoors. Our Teen Advisory Council, some of the members of that are taking the lead in teaching their fellow teens how to do this. So our first one is this Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m. We've got Teen Takeover. We've been doing that one Friday a month. We're doing this Teen Takeover will be May 19th from 6 to 8 p.m. and we'll be doing many art activities. Teens will take over the whole library. It's been going well so far. And for kids, we've got homework help on Mondays from 4 to 6. Very popular, Collage with Allison, one time a month. And we'll be seeing Susie Shelton doing music here at our branch on May 12th at 3:30. I'm going to pass this on to my colleague, Tracy Mantrone.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Tracy from Clinton Hill. Branches are in bloom this spring. Get your hands dirty with Brooklyn Public Library. Branches across Brooklyn are hosting programs for all ages relating to gardening and nature. Half of the branches receive new plants for their gardens, and most are hosting science, nature, craft, and other programs celebrating spring. The Friends of Clinton Hill replaced our raised beds this past Saturday, and our local Girl Scout troops are going to plant them on Tuesday. So you'll be able to see our pollinator garden grow through the spring and the summer, and we'll also be doing plant and garden-based programming throughout spring and summer at the branch. We have a lot going on for May. On Saturday, May 20th, we are having our book swap. This is a great way to get rid of books or get free books. So if you come, bring bags, because you're probably going to take books home with you. Totally free. You don't have to pay for anything. For adults, we're having a job information fair on Monday, May 15th from 11:30 to 4:30. Our housing information fair will be on Friday, May 19th from 11:30 to 4:30. For kids, Children's Librarian Mr. Bryan has added a Tuesday afternoon outdoor story time, a Friday afternoon inside toy session. On Wednesday, May 17th is Kids Create Scratch Foam Painting, and Thursday, May 18th is our hip hop program. Join author illustrator C.G. Esperanza for a reading of his picture book, Boogie Boogie Y'all, followed by a craft. And we will be one of the paper ballot sites for the Voting for the People's Money, which just started today. This is New York City's first ever citywide participatory budgeting process. It gives all New Yorkers age 11 and up, regardless of immigration status, the opportunity to decide how to spend $5 million of the mayor's expense funding on their projects. You can also vote online. I'll put the link in the chat. Do it on your phone because it needs a location tracker, or you can come in and get paper ballots. And this is going to run from May 10th through June 25th. And I'm now going to turn everything over to Alex from Walt Whitman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Munoz, the manager at Walt Whitman Library. Tail end of Tracy's mention of the ballots. We are also a location. So if you want to come in and cast a paper ballot, you can do that. And again, Tracy's putting the link in the chat if you want to do that online. Going off of Branches in Bloom, come watch our wildflower garden grow at Walt Whitman. So we are slated for a full renovation starting next winter. So we decided to take out our front lawn and make it a pollinator garden. Anything that is a perennial, you'll be able to dig it up later in the fall and take it for free. More news on that when they're actually growing. The last week of May, we're going to have some garden and nature programs that are in our yard. Stay tuned to our website for details. I'll put the link. I don't have the event up yet. We have our ongoing English conversation groups on Mondays from 4 to 5:30. No registration needed, just come by. For kids, it's final season. So if they need some homework help or studying help, come by Wednesdays from 4 to 6. May 11th, that's tomorrow, guys. Wow. Okay, so from 4 to 6 p.m., we have our Creative Histories final showcase. We have a video screening and a little backyard party. We've had some older adults for the past few months create some projects. Here's a little blurb. You're invited to a public video screening and backyard party. It's the final culminating event of a 9-week class series for older adults taught by professional artists, Jamie Warren and Sophia Dixon. Participants have captured their stories and unique talents on video using cameras, props, green screens, sets, music, narration, and more. It's a lot of fun. I've heard a lot of exciting chatter going on in the room. I'm really excited to see these final projects. So if you're coming by the library, it's just in our front yard. Check it out. May 20th from 2 to 4, we're gonna partner up with Blink Fitness actually to do an introductory exercise class. So if anyone's looking to have a change of pace and try out some introductory exercises, that's from 2 to 4, Saturday, May 20th. I think that's the 20th. Then we, June 8th, we have our summer reading kickoff for both children and teens, 2 different programs. At 12 p.m., we're going to have a 50 Years of Hip Hop for Kids program. And sometime in the afternoon, we're going to have a teen band come by and do some crossover music from hip hop, rap, jazz, R&B. I'm really excited for that. I will put some links in the chat, and that's it for me. Passing it on to Mary Elena from Adam Street.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm first going to start off with our favorite topic of the year, the budgets, the city budgets. So New York City's libraries are still facing significant cuts in the city's budget. While the mayor reversed some cuts in the executive budget, libraries still face a potential loss of $36.2 million. These cuts are some of the deepest we have faced and will undoubtedly impact our public service, potentially reducing hours, services, programs, collections, and affecting our ability to fill vacant positions. Please let our city leaders know how important libraries are for our communities and urge them to reverse any proposed library budget cuts. I'm going to link in the chat the letters that can be filled for anyone who can please share this message. Adding to that, Kat Savage, who has been the branch manager for Adam Street since its inception, and even before it was officially a building, is unfortunately leaving the Brooklyn Public Library system for a brand new life up in Ithaca, New York. We are very happy for her, but also sad to see her go. If there are any questions or anything that needs to be addressed to the Adam Street Library, please pass them over to me. I'm the assistant branch manager. I will put my contact in the chat as well if anyone needs to reach me. Now on to some nice subjects, which are some programming going on at Adam Street. So on May 20th from 9:30 to 11 a.m., we will have our Spring Migration Bird Walk. So we will be joined by expert birder Heather Wolf on a family-friendly 90-minute walk bird walk throughout Brooklyn Bridge Park. Next, we have a community chess program with Chess at 3, starting on Mondays, May 15th through June 12th. So this is a 4-part series. And that will be from 4:30 to 5:30. So it's more of a interactive chess experience. So it's definitely going to be really cool. Teen programming has officially sort of hit the ground running at Adam Street with Teen Wednesdays from 3 to 5. Every week there's a brand new activity, and our young adult librarian is awesome to have more people come and join. And finally, we're going to be having an author talk with John West on his new memoir, Lessons and Carols, on Tuesday, May 30th from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. Finally, I said finally already, but I'm going to say it one more time. Come say hi to us at the annual Double Drop on June 2nd. Thank you.
Okay, is that the?
Vice Chair Jordan, may I ask a question of Tracy real quick?
Sure.
Tracy, about the calendar, I noticed on your calendar on Monday, the 15th, you have a job information fair.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm noticing that it's quite interesting. How often do you have these? You have workshops, one-on-one sessions for resume cover, resume writing, and also networking.
This is a one-time event, but we have online resume help every Wednesday at the branch. So we have one of the librarians does virtual resume help on Wednesdays from 11:30 to 12:30. She normally has the listing on our website, so you can sign up through that, and then she'll do resume help online, or you can come in and ask to speak to her. That's Adwa. But we're having these two special events, the as like a one-time event for the job information fair, and then on Friday is going to be the housing information fair. BPL does a lot of job and resume assistance. If you go to the website, there are places, the branches doing walk-in help, and there's also a lot of virtual help going on too, through the business library and through the different branches. So you can pretty much get help quite a lot. And also on one of our databases, I'll put that in the chat, they will give you job assistance and resume assistance through the database, so you can get virtual assistance that way too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, thank our contingent from the Brooklyn Public Library with a very complete and succinct report as always. Ms. Mueller, is there any other community partners on the list?
Is Rosamund Fletcher from Fort Greene Park Conservancy still on? I see Richard Morrow from the Red Cross.
I'm here.
Okay, Ms. Morrow.
Hey, good evening, Chair, Co-Chair Jordan, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Morrow, and I'm the Greater New York Red Cross Community Relations Ambassador for Community Board 2. I had a report tonight, but because of the time, I'm not going to go through with it. I'll give it next time. It takes about 7 minutes, but 7 minutes now is not good. So I just wanted to say, please check out our website. We have our Red Cross virtual and in-person programs can help you and our community. Our courses are free and deal with all disaster self-help preparedness. The other thing I wanted to mention is hurricane season's coming, so please check out the NOAA. I mentioned this last year. They have a great checklist of things you want to check before the season starts. I suggest you do it as quickly as possible. Have a great rest of the month.
Thank you very much, Mr. Morrow. Anyone else, Ms. Mueller?
Yes, Mr. E.Cen Mulligan from Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. E.Cen Mulligan, Director of Community and Government Relations for the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I will be very brief too. I see we're coming up on 8:30 here. Thank you to the ED&E Committee, Chair Flournoy, District Manager Mueller for the invite to have Nikki Evans, our new Senior Vice President of Workforce Development, at that meeting. As Mr. Flournoy said, it was a very robust discussion, so definitely catch that on YouTube if you have a chance. Also, because the meeting started at 6, I had my new 5.5-month-old on the call, so he's there with me for a second, so you can catch him in his CB2 first. Okay, I see you too. His first appearance at CB2. At the Navy Yard 1, scroll up to some of the links that Taya put in the chat earlier to our jobs page and our internship page to learn the latest. Get people down to the Employment Center, please. As Mr. Flournoy said, and Ms. Peterson had noted, we'll be doing more outreach as well to get people there, but you all are our partners too, so please get people to the Employment Center, to those info sessions, and just so they can get into the system, get to that jobs page that's linked, because you can sign up for our newsletter, and so you really be in the know on the latest. And then on the other piece, I just wanted to talk about public programming. We do have something coming up, a bunch of stuff coming up, but the one I'll drive home with you tonight is on Saturday, May 20th. We're having Design Day at the Yard. That's part of New York City by Design, if you all know that. It's one of the 2 times really we open the yard up as much as we can. You know, we try to keep the yard as safe and secure for our tenant businesses as we can, but on Open House New York and Design Day, we really open up the yard. So a lot of the businesses open up. You can go inside their studios, see manufacturing, see design, engineering, prototyping. The woodworking, some of the woodworking companies are open, metalworking. There's an electric motorcycle company that's opening up. There's a design studio for a shoe company. And then a big one to see is Smart Design. They're in building 127, which is one of our recent rehabs. They're the exclusive designer for OXO products, which you might have in your kitchen. So that is Saturday. I'm going to put the link in right now in the chat. Saturday, May 20th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. That's free. Come on, just register on the Eventbrite. Come on down to the yard. You can get a map of the businesses that are open and walk around. Some are near the Admirals Road development. Some are near Building 77 at Flushing and Vanderbilt. So you can kind of walk the campus a bit and get a sense of the types of businesses that are at the yard. That's 12 to 4 at 5 o'clock at Smart Design. NASA will be there. They're doing a panel discussion from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. about the future of food. Some very smart people from NASA and Smart Design will talk about food production systems for outer space. So some really heady stuff, but stuff that, you know, this kind of innovation helps in so many other industries and manufacturing adjacent businesses at the yard. If you go to the page I put in the chat also, you'll see some other upcoming programs for us. Some are actually programs hosted by other folks at the yard. It's a way for us to bring in some revenue to help keep subsidizing manufacturing businesses. So those ones are not free, but you'll see the Craft Brew Festival is this Saturday. There's the other art fairs coming up. And so there's other ones at the yard, that another way to get on the yard through these kind of ticketed events. But Design Day is open to the public, free. Please come on down on Saturday, May 20th from 12 to 4 and join us and see some of the businesses in action. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mulligan. And now we will go to our last item, well, actually next to last item on the agenda, the Open Community Forum. Now, the guy, I don't know if anybody's got on the list with Ms. Mueller. If not, if you'd like to address the board, you have 2 minutes. I believe that's the, and I will be timing you. So is there anybody from the community who would like to address the board or would like to say a few words? Just raise your hand. All right. Taya, do you have anybody that had requested time?
I do not, and I
Hello?
don't see any hands, Mr. Jordan. Oh,
Hello,
Hello?
hi, I'm sorry, I dialed in. I would love the opportunity to address the board if that is possible still.
Right, you have 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you. So I
could you please state your name for the minutes?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Clarissa Levy, and that's with a Y. And I'm calling with regards to an ongoing and rapidly worsening rat problem that is happening at the corner of Cumberland Street and DeKalb Street. There is a series of rat tunnels and burrows right in front of, I believe it is 216 Cumberland, which I believe is also 166 DeKalb. And it's really become a really bad situation. And I suspect that this little ecosystem is probably the source of 90% of the rats that are throughout the neighborhood. It's and I just don't really know what to do. I'm trying to get this under control. I am a neighbor. I have kids who are walking by, and it's just it's really become a problem. And so I would appreciate the community's attention to this because it's obviously right across the street from the park, and there's literally like gotta be 80 rats at night. It's really quite disgusting. They're tumbling all over each other. They're running around. They're eating out of the trash bins at the Walters restaurant and then diving down and into their little tunnels. And it's really quite bad. So I think that's That's about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Levy. Certainly, the board office is, I think Taya will send you some information, but also, have you tried 311? Have you reported that on 311?
I
Okay.
have. Thank you. Thank you. I've tried several times. I've tried to locate the property owner, but have not been successful in that effort.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you very much for all the great work the board does.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board at this time? Mr. Amir Abu Akil, did I?
Yeah,
pronounce your name
you got that.
properly?
You got that right. I think I just I don't know if the caller left, but I just wanted to confirm that's at right by Walters, right? The Walters restaurant on the corner of
Yes,
Fort
that's
Greene Park.
the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. So if no one else, if there's no other business for this board at this time, and no one else is set to speak, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Gordon and anybody want to
Second.
Okay, Ms. Daughtry is stopping. All right, thank you very much, folks. Have a blessed night. Everybody get home safe. I think you're already home. Maybe some of you are, but anyway. But have a blessed night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Jordan.